Hi, welcome into this 30-minute practice. Today we'll focus on keeping it pretty slow and grounded. We'll be exploring a bit of hip mobility as well as hip stability. So for this practice, I would recommend if you've got two blocks, go ahead, grab them. I'm sitting on a blanket. So if you want a blanket or a cushion or a towel, you can bring that underneath your sits bones. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So come to a comfortable seat. You might be again on your sits bones, you might be on your shins, on a block or any sort of support. We'll start with palms facing down. So you can let your palms face down onto your legs. If it feels safe in your body and in the environment in which you're practicing to close your eyes, please feel free to close your eyes, or you might choose to keep your eyes open with a soft gaze towards the wall or a window or maybe towards the floor. And as you start to settle in, take a moment to check in with yourself, with your breath, noticing where your breath falls within your physical body. Perhaps it's lower down in your belly or higher up in your chest. And before you make any attempts to shift or change or navigate, just give your breath time to be exactly as it is. And noticing and connecting in. And then start to shift slightly as you inhale, bringing your breath from the base of your belly up towards your ribs, all the way up towards your collarbones. Feeling that slight expansion, slight lift. And as you exhale, exhale from your collarbones and soften down towards your ribs, all the way back down towards the base of your belly. And we'll do that 2 more times. As you inhale, inhale belly, ribs, collarbones. Exhale, collarbones, ribs, and belly. Once more, inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. And slowly transition back to your own rhythm. Breathing in and out through your nose. Allowing your anchor to be the breath. And coming back to this anchor as often as needed throughout your time on your mat this morning. And take another deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, option to sigh it all out. If your eyes are closed, softly open the lids of your eyes. Welcome back in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So as you inhale, sweep your arms nice and wide all the way up and overhead. Tailbone reaches down, arms reach high. Connect your palms together, and as you exhale, bring everything right back down to your heart. We'll do that 2 more times. As you sweep your arms up, expand out. Maybe you shift your gaze up. And on an exhale, bring it right back down. And last one, inhale, take a big sweep. And this time, as you exhale, bring your hands down through your heart. Bring your hands all the way down to the ground. And if you're on your shins, you'll want to transition towards a seated position. It doesn't matter which foot's in front. If you're already in your seated position, you can start to fold. So take it nice and gentle. Fold only as far forward as is comfortable. You might bring your hands onto the floor, maybe bring your hands onto some blocks. And then take your time to get there. Notice any sensations that arise en route. And then eventually, once your lower body, your torso, and your upper body feel comfortable, you might start to let your head drop down. And take a deep breath in here. And out. 2 more. And last one here. If your gaze is down, start to lift your gaze forward. Eventually let that translate into pressing your palms down and walk your torso back up to a tall seat. Once you come to a tall seat, swap whichever foot is in front so you have an opposite crisscross position. Adjust your sits bones as needed. Bring your hands down to the floor, lift up through your heart space, and again, take your time as you fold. So this side might be a little bit different. And so you might move into a similar shape, you might move into a different shape. You may use support here, you may not. So just remember, it doesn't have to look exactly the same as it did on the other side. And then eventually, as you find once more your lower body in a place that's sustainable, option to let your head drop towards the floor, perhaps onto a block or 2. And then 3 full cycles of breath. On your next inhale, start to lift your gaze forward. Let that translate into strength of your palms as you press to the earth, and slowly start to lift yourself once more up to a tall seat. Once you find yourself in a tall seat, this time we'll take soles of your feet together. Soles of the feet together, knees drop out wide, Baddha Konasana. You might take blocks underneath your legs here, and then actively press the pinky blades together. Hands can come to your ankles, maybe you hold onto your feet. But before we go anywhere, press the pinky blades together enough that so you can feel the inner lines of your legs starting to you feel that activation happen. And then exhale, release, and you might notice your knees drop a little bit. The inner line activation kind of softens. We'll do that 2 more times. Press the pinky blades of your feet together. Feel that activation. There it is. And then exhale, soften back down. Okay, 1 more time. Inhale, press the soles of your feet together, more so on the pinky blade side. Big inhale. This time as you exhale, release. And then find about 50% of that. So you're actively pressing, but not to your max. So there's an activation in the lower part of your body. Lift up through your heart space. And as you exhale, start to take that slow hinge forward again. Maybe you bring your hands onto the blocks once more. Maybe you bring your hands onto the floor. And again, take your time as you walk your torso down. Keep the activation of your legs, and then option to tent up onto your fingertips. And I'm going to take a little pull back. So I kind of pull my hands back in space. They don't really go anywhere, but it's that isometric pull back as I lift up through my heart space. So you feel this little lift. And then as you exhale, soften into your shape. So again, you might bring your hands to the floor, to blocks, let your head get heavy. And we'll stay here for 3 cycles of breath. Start to lift your gaze up, press down into your palms, eventually walk yourself all the way back up to a tall seat. Bring the soles of your feet to the floor, bring your knees together, and then extend both of your legs long. I'll turn sideways for this. And with both of your legs long, You can play around if they're kind of hip width distance, they might be a little bit wider. Draw back on your toes, soft bend to your knees, activation into your quadriceps, palms down by your sides, lift up through your heart space. And then as you exhale, guide with your heart as you start to fold forward. Only go as far as is comfortable and then walk your hands forward. We're going to do those isometric pulls again. So press down to your palms, isometrically pull back. So again, you're not going to really go anywhere with your hands, but as you pull your hands back, think of lifting up through your heart space. And then as you exhale, there might be a little more space to fold. Pick up the slack by walking your hands forward. Inhale, pull back, lift up. Exhale, a little more space. Last time, walk the fingers forward. Inhale, pull back, lift up. And then exhale, let yourself fold down. You can flip your palms up if you'd like. Again, maybe a block or two under your forehead here. If your palms are flipped up, flip your palms back down. Press into your hands as you start to lift your gaze up and past your toes, and then walk yourself all the way up to a tall seat once more. Slide off of your blanket. You can set that off to the side. Bend into your knees, soles of your feet about hip width distance, maybe a little bit wider. Hands come behind you, slightly lift up through your heart space and slowly drop your knees from one side to the other. So your gaze can stay forward, or if it's okay on your neck, you can turn your gaze over the opposite shoulder. So if knees are to the left, gaze is to the right, and then knees to the right, gaze to the left. And so take this at your own pace, rocking side to side. And slowly center your knees. Walk your feet back in, walk your hands to the backs of your thighs, come up onto your tippy toes, engage through your abdominals by drawing the navel in and up. So you might feel a little lift of your torso, and you might choose to stay right here. Great place to stay, toes on the ground, engaging your abdominals, lifting up through your heart space. Second option is to maybe lift one leg, play around with lifting the other leg. And for today, let's keep the hands on the backs of the thighs. So really thinking of pulling your chest to your thighs, pulling your thighs to your chest, tailbone to the ground, heart lifts high. Take another breath in. Maintain on your breath out. Crisscross your ankles or sweep your feet to the side, roll forward, and we'll all transition onto hands and knees. So you can start to make your way towards a tabletop shape. Spread out through your fingers only as much as is comfortable, shoulders over wrist, hips over knees. And then start to take circular motions. So you're kind of circling around your wrist joints, circling around your hip joints. And it doesn't matter which side you start. You can go left or right, whichever you prefer. And slow down that rotation. Start to take it in the other direction. And bring yourself back to center. So here's where I'm going to grab a block. I'm going to have it on the upper left-hand corner just so it's accessible, because we're going to come to that and you might want to use it in a moment. So from your tabletop, step your right toes to the very back of your mat. Toes will stay on the ground. And then notice if you kind of sunk into your left hip, press into your left shin, press into your palms, press your right toes back. Send your heel to the back of your mat, reach the crown of your head to the front of your mat. So there's a lot of activation happening here. And then shift forward slightly so that you can lift your back right leg, toes face down. They come out to the side a little bit, no big deal. But if they're totally turned out, you want to think of using that strength to rotate in. And then bend into your knee. So the sole of your foot is facing the ceiling. As you inhale, take a little pulse. And as you exhale, release down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, pulse. Exhale, release. One more. Inhale, pulse. Exhale, release. Extend your right leg long, shift the weight to your right palm, and then send your left hand long. Thumb will face up, pinky can face down, reach from front to back, check in with your low back. Notice if you are hanging out kind of in the low lumbar. Think of pressing down, engaging your abdominals so there's a little bit of strength there. Inhale here. This time as you exhale, elbow towards knee, contract through your navel, round through the upper back. Inhale, reach forward and back. Exhale, contract in. Inhale, reach back. Last one, exhale, contract in. Inhale, reach back. Release your left palm. Release your right toes. Now I'm going to take my left foot a little bit more out to the left. So my shin is at an angle. I'm going to take my block on the lowest height underneath my left palm. You can set up however you want here. Maybe you take it to the middle height or the highest height. Ground down through your back right foot, press down to your base leg, press down to your base arm, and then lift your right arm towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in here. And out. Shift forward on your right toes. So you're kind of coming up a little bit, and then lift your back right leg. So here's where you might notice that the left shin is straight back. It gets pretty tippy. You can work it that way too. That's going to add a lot of balance. So up to you where you want to go. And then I'm going to point my back right toes. Take an inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm going to tap my back toes down. And then inhale, lift up. Exhale, tap. Inhale, lift. Exhale, tap. One more. Inhale. Exhale. This time as I inhale, I'm going to reflex my foot. So I'm energizing out the heel. Take another breath in. Exhale, take your top arm up and over your head. So bicep will hover. Then bring your top right hand down, pivot on your shin. Bring your right toes down to the ground. Set your block off to the side, step back to high plank. Send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Adjust your stance as needed. And then you can pedal out through your feet. You can bend into your knees, sway your hips. As you inhale, roll up onto your tippy toe, send your gaze forward, start to tippy toe to the front of your mat. Eventually, you'll make your way towards the front. Bring your feet about hip width distance, option to bend the knees softly as you let your torso get heavy. Maybe grab opposite elbows, take a little sway. Release your palms down to the ground. Inhale, slide up to your half lift. Walk your hands to your hips. Bend your knees so you can sit yourself back. And we'll go right into Utkatasana chair pose. So sits bones are low, arms are reaching up, always the option to bring hands to heart, especially if that causes any like shoulder pain with the arms up. Take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, refold, hands and head to the floor, hips towards the sky. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, palms to the ground, big step back with your right foot. Drop your right knee. Keep your toes tucked or untucked, totally up to you. Press down, rise up, low lunge. And then come up out of it for a minute. So if you're super low, come up a little bit higher, walk your hands to your hips, press down into your front left foot. Think of drawing back. And as you did that, you might have noticed that your right hip kind of pulled forward. So we want to keep that hip stability, but we're going to add a little bit of movement. So wiggle your left toes forward a smidge, and then bring your knee forward so it can line up with your ankle. So that'll probably cause a little bit more space in the front of the right hip. And then sweep your arms back up and overhead. Keep that stability by pressing the left foot down, pressing the back right shin down. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lean forward, hover over your right thigh, or excuse me, left thigh, reach your palms back. And then inhale, press down, rise up. You might even start to look up towards the ceiling. 2 more times. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down. Inhale, lift up. This time, reach forward and down. Frame your left foot, tuck your back right toes, lift your knee, pivot to the long edge of your mat, bend into your back knee, pivot to the front of your mat, low runner's lunge. Step your front foot to meet your back foot, high plank. Shift forward, vinyasa of your choice. Always the option to skip it, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Take a deep breath there once you arrive. Deep breath out. Inhale up to tippy toes. Release your knees nice and slow all the way back down to the ground. Untuck your toes. Line up your tabletop. And this time, if you want to have a block, you'll take it on the outside of your right hand. Again, just so that's accessible when we get to it. So from your tabletop, once more, spread out through your fingers, stack up your foundation, and then take your left toes to the back of the mat. With your toes down, press into your palms, heel presses back, crown reaches forward. And then shift your weight forward. Lift up through your back leg. Take a moment here to find your stability. Notice if your low back's dropping, where can you engage so that the whole body's helping you out here. Bend into your left knee. Sole of the foot towards the ceiling, and then we'll pulse and lower. Pulse and lower. One more time here, pulse and lower. Re-extend your left leg. Shift the weight to your left hand. Extend your right arm long. Pinky down, thumb up. Middle line is engaged. Back leg is lifted. Inhale. Exhale, contract through your belly, press down, slight round. Inhale, extend front to back. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, extend. One more, exhale, draw in. Inhale, extend. Bring your palm to the ground. Bring your back toes to the ground. This time, right foot scoots out to the right a little bit. Block can come under your right hand. Ground down through your back left foot. Firm press down as you unravel, lift your left arm to the ceiling. And you might choose to stay right here. You might shift forward onto your left toes. So that will probably bring your shoulder over your wrist a bit, and then lift your back leg. Stay here and breathe, or start to point your back toes. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, drop the toes down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. One more here. This time, as you drop your back toes, wait, I lied. Lift your back leg. Here we go. Now take your arm up and overhead. So you've got that bicep hovering over your ear. One more big breath. As you exhale, bring your hand down, pivot on your bottom shins, toes of your left foot down. There we go. Move the block out from under you. Palms to the ground, step your right foot back, high plank. Send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. And down. Bend your knees, look forward, make your way to the front of your mat, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Heel toe your feet together, bend down, rise up, little different, same direction, Utkatasana. Full breath in. And out. One more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, palms to the ground, left foot will lead as you step all the way back. Drop your left knee, tuck or untuck your toes, press down, rise up. And then bring your hands to your hips, press up a little bit. So you've got that stack. Press down into your front right foot. And as you press down, you might notice that kind of pulls the hips to midline. Really think of activating what's beneath you. Maybe you wiggle your right toes forward a little. Bring your right knee towards your right ankle so that you're dropping down a little bit into that front hip point. Keep all that stability. Take your arms up. Big inhale. Exhale, start to hinge forward, palms reach behind you. Inhale, press down, rise up, option to look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. One more, exhale. As you inhale, lift your arms all the way up. This time, exhale, bring your hands all the way down, frame your right toes, back toes tuck, lift your knee, pivot to the left. We'll take one bend into the back knee. Pivot back to the front of your mat, low runner's lunge. Step your front foot to meet your back foot, high plank. Again, vinyasa of your choice. And we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Once you arrive, take a full breath in. Full breath out. One more here. Inhale to your tippy toes. Take a nice slow lower all the way back down. 2 hands and knees. Crisscross or sweep your feet off to the side. Come all the way back to a seat. All right. So option to close your practice, either back in a comfortable seat. You might come back onto your sits bones. You might come back onto your shins. So option if you want to take the next few moments upright. If you prefer to lie down, you can come to lie down on your back. And you might take your feet a little bit wider than hip width distance. Knees can knock in towards each other. Palms rest out towards your sides, facing up for constructive rest. Alternatively, you might bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees drop out wide. Supine Baddha Konasana, maybe you bring some blocks underneath your legs. And you might also choose to extend your legs long, closing your practice in Shavasana. And so take your time to settle in. Take your time to choose a final shape that works for your body. And then bring your awareness again into your physical structure. You might close your eyes down if that feels safe. You might find a soft gaze. And bring your awareness down into the lower half of your body, having worked with both length, mobility, strength, stability. And just remembering that we need both, right? If we lean too far into one direction, if we're only flexible and no strength, or only strong and no flexibility, we can tend to get off balance, tend to maybe fall into injury. So taking our time to work both sides and remembering that there are both sides, but then there's a ton of gray space in between, right? So always being open, or at least trying to be open to where is the space that I need to work today, and not allowing ourselves to get rigid in what it should be or how it should feel, but honoring what is showing up. And so as you take these last few moments, honor what is showing up now and give yourself some time to rest into it, breathe into it. And when you're ready, we'll take one more collective inhale. And let out a big sigh through your mouth. And then we'll take the next few moments to rest, to notice, to integrate, and to soften. And gently begin to deepen your breath. And as your breath begins to move through your body once more, noticing the rise and fall of your torso. Eventually letting that movement translate into more conscious movement in your arms and your legs. Maybe you rock your head from one side to the other. And then taking your time to slowly reawaken. If you're lying down, you can gently begin to transition as you roll over to one side. Take a breath or two there in that in-between space. And then when you're ready, gently pressing up once more to a tall seat, either on your shins or on your sits bones. And option to leave your hands down onto your legs, or you might connect hands together at your heart space or on your energetic heart space. And take a moment to check in, and to notice anything in your breath or your body that is still asking for your attention. And as you honor that, take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh it all out. And thank you for your time. Thank you for connecting in with your body on your mat through your practice. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Namaste. Thank you very much.